I have loved this camera for over a year now. This is the Osmo Action 5 Pro. I have really dialed in the settings to what I think are the absolute best for an everyday vlog. I run a channel where we live in that RV right there, a little travel trailer, called Cozy Living Machine. And this, for a little over a year, was my primary camera, and I've since kind of leveled up a little bit, and this might not have a place in my equipment anymore, but I want to share my settings because I think that this is absolutely fantastic for so many creators, and this might help you get the most out of it. Now, just a quick overview of hardware that I use. So I use the DJI Mic Mini, and these are amazing. I still use it with our Lumix S9 here, but the camera itself has some really great little microphones in them. And so for a good period of time, I just put a little, it's kind of like a wind muff sort of thing. It looks like a little microphone, well, you know, when it's covered. You set the camera in there, and then there's, you know, little slots for the magnetic mount. Those are really good. The only downside is, though, when I'm talking here, it's super loud, super clear, right? But when I turn it and face it away from me, right, it's arm's length or whatever, it's kind of harder to hear. So the levels are a little bit, you know, something you can get away with it. And if you're on a really tight budget, you can pick one of these up used for a fantastic deal, or, you know, on sale. You can get away with it, and it definitely works. But having the Mic Minis, you know, they're not terribly expensive. That audio is, you can hide it under your shirt like this. You know, they are going to wirelessly connect and pair, and it's just a little magnet or a little clip. So when you start this guy up, those will automatically pair within just a few seconds. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to go wrong with that. I did pick up a little $6-7 screen protector set. So I've got one on the lens itself, one on the front screen, and one on the rear screen. I actually do use the front screen on this guy, which is really, I mean, it's kind of nice, but generally it's hard to like, it's just hard to mess up getting yourself in frame. So you can use it if you want to, you can change the settings, but you don't have to, which is really nice. And what I would recommend is always make sure you look here. You know, you can sweep your eyes across to make sure you're in the scene, or you can pause at the end of your sentence, whatever, just to make sure you're in the scene, but otherwise just make sure you're looking here so that the audience doesn't feel like you're kind of looking next to them, you're just staring at yourself. Why am I here if you just want to talk to yourself, right? But I always keep it in its little cage just to protect it, and I don't generally beat it up too much. I actually found that when it dropped, there's no effect on these. I mean, you can beat the heck out of these. The screen protectors will generally crack because they're a little bit cheaper. Yeah, it's a little bit of protection, a little scratch protection stuff. So I keep it in the cage, and I use a little magnetic mount. You can pick these little mounts up, which are really nice. You can pick these up for, I don't know, 20 bucks for a 3-pack or something like that. It's not terrible. It goes ahead and clips on, which is really cool. You can also clip it onto the side if you wanted to do that. There's also a horizon balance mode as well if you want to use that. So that's kind of nice. You can also get really long sticks, and I've done that before to get over fences and like record the F1 races in Las Vegas, for example. A 10-foot pole. This guy at the top, not super heavy. The battery life in this is really good. I mean, you can get some shots with these little guys that you're not putting your phone in a clamp and putting it up super high, right? That's just not going to happen. So hardware wise, I generally keep it simple. It's a little USB charger. What else can you say about it? It's awesome. But let's talk about the settings here, because there's only a few that I use. I mean, it's really run and gun, and when I press the start button, even when it's off, I want it to just get up and get going. And so we can quick start and just quick record right from here. It just takes a few seconds. It's very fast. But I'm going to go ahead and press the side button here. Turn this guy on, and this is the default mode. So this is what it's in 99% of the time. And so if I go ahead and I take a look at the settings, I'm always shooting 4K 4:3, just simply because that's sort of the best of both worlds. You're using as close to the full sensor as you can. 30 frames per second is good enough for me. It takes up a little less space. I used to shoot 16:9, but the thing is that if I shoot 4:3, it's still using the same, you know, pixel width, but it gives me a little bit more opportunity to go up and down if I want to. 30 frames per second, you can change that if you want to. It'll shoot up to, yeah, 120. There's just no reason for me. So I shoot at 30, and I keep it on rock steady and wide. I found that if we go up to rock steady plus, you can see how much it crops in. I don't need all that, but I do want a little bit of stabilization. So I'll keep it on rock steady here. That's pretty good. I mean, if you're mountain biking or, you know, surfing or something like that, you know, there you go. I found that on standard D-warp, I used to use this all the time. I found there's not, you know, it's not that big of a difference here, and I'm shooting on an action camera anyways. Why would I care? So wide, you can go ultra wide, but all it does is change kind of the framing in the middle. I think that wide, it looks a little bit more normal. And then if I come over here, this is where the magic happens. So I keep the exposure on auto with auto white balance. You can change that if you so choose, but I keep color gonna keep that, I just keep color recovery on, and this is basically the same across any of these cameras. I keep it on D-Log-M 10-bit. That gives me the most amount of, if I wanna bring that sky back down, I wanna bring the shadows up, it's going to kind of, it really helps with that. And then I scroll down and I'm gonna keep the texture and the noise reduction as low as possible. So -2 in this case. And that makes a really big difference. One thing you'll notice is that the edges aren't nearly as crispy, and you can always add sharpening, but I don't want to have artificial sharpening baked in where I can't take it away if I so choose. So I save this, so you can see this, I can save the current settings. I save this under the vlog mode. So I set that to vlog. So Rocksteady, D-Log-M, auto white balance. But I have a few other presets as well. So I've got vlog, and then if I go over, I've got time lapse. So this is just a daytime time lapse. So if I come in here, go to custom settings, the interval is every 5 seconds for infinity essentially. And there's really nothing, I keep it on video plus raw just in case. I almost never use the raw, but there you go. Auto white balance, auto exposure. That generally does the trick for me and it averages out. But if I move over one more, I've got running. So this is if I really want that slow-mo. So I've got it set to 4K 124x3 rock steady with wide. And there's nothing else I change in here. It's still gonna be that same D-Log-M and then -2, -2. And then if I swipe over one more, I have another time-lapse setting. So this is actually going to be a night lapse setting. I love this camera for this, and I primarily used it, especially because none of that like night dew, that between the night and the morning, when there's the temperature changes outside, I can use this camera. I don't have to worry about my big camera getting soaked because this is nice and waterproof. And if we look at these settings, I'm gonna go to custom. Here, we'll swipe up. The interval is every 40 seconds for infinity duration. So that might seem a little odd. And you can see this is all blown out, and that's because this is a nighttime, night lapse setting. So I keep the exposure manual. So I set the exposure to 30 seconds here. You have to scroll all the way down to 30 seconds. I want to keep the shutter open for, that full value. I keep the ISO, I've kept it around 1600. You can go higher, you can go lower, play around with that. 1600 is like, yeah, you get a little bit of noise, but it's not too much. Really good for capturing the stars. I'll keep there. The white balance, I like 3800. Change that to your taste. I would never use auto white balance for something like this. And then again, video plus raw. I have found in this instance, raw does make a bit of a difference here. Big fan of that. And then so you can edit that in something like Adobe Camera Raw or Lightroom or whatever, batch it, and then, pop them into your compiler and then into Final Cut Pro or something like that. So night lapses are my favorite feature that I still use this camera for, which is really nice. And there's a couple other stuff. I like subject tracking is something I would never use. Super night, I would never use it. Instead, if you're going to use, in my opinion, if you're going to use that, just turn Rocksteady down. And you'll find that you're not going to get that over sharpened. You're not going to get that super clay-like look. Go ahead and just turn Rocksteady down to the minimum or off and just try to stabilize otherwise, and you'll get a much better image because the shaking with the lower shutter speed, it's going to cause more shaking and more of that jittery, crappy looking. But if you get a little bit more noise in your image, just go ahead and post-process, add a denoise to that. So now there's one other feature that I absolutely love on these, and I'll show you why. But if we come down here, we go to quick switch, and there's a feature button right here, so I'm going to select that. You can either switch between modes, which I would never use. You can just swipe anyways. Start and end pre-recording, or you can lock screen. So set it to start and end pre-recording. And what happens is when I'm in my vlog mode, for example, I'll go ahead and hit the side button. And now it's got some pre-recording. So I have it set to 30 seconds, and you can modify this as well. And what this does is it's recording now. It's basically like a 30-second loop. When I hit the start button, it will record that point forward as well as the last 30 seconds. If you don't have that on, it only records from that point forward. So say I have this on a chest mount or a helmet mount or something like that. Something really cool happened, 30 seconds ago. It's an absolute must-have feature. And so especially if you don't know what's coming up, enable that, have it pre-record it. It's just, it also gives a lot of context. Kind of like police body cameras, right? They're always rolling for, a couple minutes prior. There you are. So if we go into other settings here, my snapshot, I have it set to last setting. So it'll automatically start with whatever the setting was last. Single screen preview, screen off when locked. That works. I always attach my wireless microphone. You go into wireless mic here. You can go ahead and pair these little guys. That's an easy one. I don't have I have most of the stuff off. I don't use voice control, but you know, there you go. Depth and altitude, nothing to do there. Always on display. I keep that off. I just don't need it. But you can have it, you know, a couple variable settings. I like the indicator, but it's completely up to you. Screen off when recording. I have that set to 15 seconds. Built-in mic audio backup. I have that on. Takes up a little bit more storage, but it's really not been an issue. Don't use timer shooting. USB mode. This is kind of a nice thing because you can also use this as a webcam, which is really cool. There's a wireless connection. You can turn this off if you're getting any interference or something like that, but I've never needed to. I keep the bitrate on high. That's a big deal to me. Sounds are on medium for me. Grid, I keep that off. Time code, you don't need all that. Auto power off, I have mine set to 5 minutes because sometimes you just kind of forget. You can live stream with these, which is really something, you know, very cool. You know, Bluetooth controller, storage, language, and it's really cool that this guy has built-in storage, although I don't use it, just because I keep the SD card in there and I just transfer over USB. And that's all there is to it. It's a fantastic little camera. So that's it. Those are the settings for the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. These would also apply to the 6, the 4, the 3. They're all gonna have something very similar, but especially that super night mode, those settings I've kind of dialed in over many experiments. And it's not, I mean, it's not going to be, you know, like a $6,000 camera setup with a super nice lens that's really white, you know, whatever. It's not going to be that level of quality, but I mean, for the vast majority of us, we're just on YouTube, we're making vlogs, we just want to show, we, you know, want a run and gun, reliable, quick, you know, quick start kind of camera. This is that and then some. I mean, it is fantastic, fantastic little guy. So hopefully these settings help, and we'll see you in the next video.